magistrate reached a verdict. I have guilty or innocent. Spare me this mockery of justice.
Donald Trump's
just
menu?
I would love to talk about Donald Trump's menu, please.
Yeah, so anyway, I watched these
racist
guys.
grandpa.
Yeah, racist grandpa. I watched these guys. Yeah, we don't give his name power. Listen, so we I saw these guys doing like a bit where they were just like somebody got a hold of the White House menu. I don't know if this was an original White House menu. I guess he's been eating better since he was like advised by doctors that he had to. But it was just it was fucking hilarious. So they sat down and they started eating. So breakfast is an Egg McMuffin and a Diet Coke. And they immediately give the guy a second Diet Coke, and he's like, "What the fuck? What do you mean there's no coffee? Like, what's going on?" And they're like, "Well, he has 12 Diet Cokes a day." He's like, "Fuck, I don't even drink 12 glasses of water a day." And so anyway, he starts smashing these Diet Cokes. So throughout this entire skit, he's making these absolutely wretched belches because his fucking body can't process this much Diet Coke. So the first one, that's the Egg McMuffin. Lunch, 2 options. It's fucking 2 Big Macs, 2 fish fillets, and fries. But he doesn't eat the fucking buns. He has them take the buns away.
Oh,
so it's just this fucking gross lettuce, like fucking meat medley. And then same thing with the fillet of fish. He takes the buns out, and then he fucking just puts dollops of ketchup in there and just smashes it as like this disgusting sewage kind of. And then the secondary option, so a couple Diet Cokes too. You got those. Yeah. Oh fuck! And then the secondary option was the pizza. He fucking just scrapes the toppings off and eats the sludge from medium pizza. This is some kind of fucking like hybrid keto maneuver.
I love this.
Yeah. And then the guy's like, "Oh, it's time for snack." So snack are those fucking long finger cookies with the icing in the middle. And another additional diet. Yeah, no, they're like the cookies. Like,
okay. I don't know anything about those.
They're almost like the vanilla Girl Guide cookies, but long ones.
Okay. All right.
And anyway, yeah, he fucking brings the guy those. And he's like, dude, and another Diet Coke. He's like, oh god, he's like sitting at his computer desk because I guess they did this at work or whatever. So they have this one fucking goofball acting like he's serving them.
Right.
And he's like, why the fuck? I'm just cramming myself full of refined sugar and then drinking a Diet Coke. Might as well just drink a real Coke. And then dinner comes along, so he has like his fucking. It's like fucking wax beans and mashed potatoes and like a steak, but the steak's cooked like well done, fucking leather well done and like covered in fucking gravy. He's like, there's so much fucking sauce. And that's the full shebang. And there, he had to have like 3 or 4 more Diet Cokes with dinner because he hadn't finished them all.
All of that makes perfect sense.
Doesn't it? It feels right.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a lie. I don't think you'd go through the trouble if it was.
Yeah, that's an extended. I like to think that it's true. That's headcanon for me now.
Yeah.
And Chris, fucking something about that does make sense. Like just what powers, like, you ever get like, those people who live a long time. And then everybody asks them, like, what did you do? Like, well, what was your secret? How did you live to 112? And they're like, I smoked a pack of cigarettes every day and I just ate a bunch of fat. And you're just like, Jesus Christ, like there are no rules.
There's no God. There's no rules.
Yeah, there's no fucking rules. And like some bodies, like he's fine, right? He's bulletproof, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, that's corroborated on the right wing sphere too. That there's all those, like they're trying to poison his Diet Cokes.
Yeah. I recall.
Yep. So now they had a lot of opportunities.
A lot.
Yeah, that's wild. Although I like some people will, like, they don't want to. Although I did hear a lot of sugar in that diet. Like some people will swear by diet pops, even though like aspartame's not really great for you, but they want the caffeine. but they don't want all the sugar, and they read that coffee is not so good for you, blah, 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 blah. And they come to the conclusion that a Diet Coke is the sort of perfect stimulant. I don't know if racist grandpa put that much thought into it, but
that diet, there's not that much sugar in that diet. The cookies, obviously, because he has cookies. Oh, I forgot to mention there's an Oreo snack as well in between. The dinner, and so there's Oreos and a Diet Coke is the second snack between lunch and dinner.
You gotta get your carbs somewhere.
Yeah. So, well, really, I mean, if you fucking cut the cookies out, though, there's not that much sugar.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a perfectly balanced diet at that point.
Phil Kessel advises that Diet Pop is the same as water.
Phil Kessel? Who's that?
Yeah, he's a hockey player.
Oh, he's a hockey player. Is he a stupid hockey player? One of those one of them stupid hockey players?
He's like oddly chubby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking too. I didn't want to make a link.
What, that he was oddly chubby?
Yeah.
Isn't there a link? I thought there was a direct link between that and Diet Pop.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not even sure.
Yeah.
Some kind of caloric problem with it. I don't know. It's got a
definitely 16. I think 16 of any of bottled product though. Like that's wild. Like how many times did racist grandpa have to piss? Like how many times was he on there? Like he must have a unbelievably strong bladder. You know, like
now that you mention that, I think about 50% of the way through the video, the guy was like, I haven't pissed either. Something's fucking wrong. Like his body's just absorbing shit.
Oh shit. Speaking of something wrong, do you guys watch the Morbius trailer? You guys?
Yeah, I've really gone into I've done a couple rounds on the Morbius.
I saw the trailer. Yeah.
Yeah, that looks like not great at all.
Did you read about Jared's method acting yet?
Oh yeah. I like that. I forget which one of you shared it, but the the fact that the crew had to reach a deal with him. They were like, look, you can act like a cripple for as long as you want. You can do whatever you want, but like on bathroom breaks, we will wheel you. We will give you a wheelchair ride. That's too far. I don't know why like why would you put so much of yourself into it? Like I'm just reminded of Shia LaBeouf for that Fury movie, like ruining his fucking teeth.
Yeah.
Who else did some?
I was gonna say the director said that he just like fucking rolled with it. He was just like, you know what, this guy's dedicated to the role. This is gonna turn out just fine.
Yeah.
I like that there were like 45-minute bathroom breaks because he was like somehow part of the character too. I guess
because he pretended to be crippled to the point where it took him 45 minutes to go to the bathroom alone.
Just really pretending that he can't like shit. And, you know.
Oh, what the fuck? He probably couldn't. He was probably mangled. Did you see
constipation?
He got so fucking skinny and he had those crutches. I have to see it now. I can't not see the worst fucking movie ever made. I mean, I'm not gonna sit back.
I got a serious question for you guys. Is Leto a himbo? I'm really starting to think that maybe he is.
What is that?
Like, you know, like a male bimbo.
What constitutes a bimbo? I
like that terminology.
I feel that the answer is yes, but I mean, like, what? Why? I guess why are you asking the question?
Because it just clicked for me. Like I'm honestly asking because I avoid Jared Leto. I just don't like him.
So why would that be? Yeah.
So just, I mean, you guys maybe have a better sense than I do. It just feels right to me.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't strike me as smart. He does strike me as like a permanent child. Though even in this role as Morbius or whatever, even in the trailer, like he can't change his face so he doesn't look like Jared Leto, you know, and he can't change his face so he doesn't look like he always looks.
Yeah, and I don't believe for a second that he's a doctor of any kind. Even for pretend. Like you're not even making any effort. Like I think he believes that he made some huge physical strides to try to, you know, method act, but in reality, like you could just try to actually act and cut your hair and sell to me that you were an actual fucking doctor, you know.
Yeah. I was hearing about Colin Farrell in the new Batman movie. He stayed in character as the Penguin.
Oh, apparently he was phenomenal though.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I'm just saying though, like I don't know why people go to such lengths for these movies. Like fine, you're proud of your craft. You have a thing, a method, or what have you. It's just just take that energy, put it somewhere else. Put it in something else. Don't put it in Morbius.
I think that's why people like the real pros and shit, like how Leonardo DiCaprio is so coveted. I've seen little clips of him, and I've seen him just turn it on. Mm-hmm. They roll action. He just fucking turns on the character, cut, turns off the character, starts laughing with the crew. Be a fucking professional, work on your fucking craft. Nobody wants you to act like a goddamn fucking maniac for the whole goddamn production.
I forgot you said it, but somebody said nobody ever turns on method acting to play a nice guy. It's always total creep or
fucking maniac. I think I'll try to be a serial killer and just fucking do Ripper Magoos in my trailer. Fucking come on, man. We get that that's fun, but
yeah.
That said, I do like it. I like when it's done well. Not when it's not Jared Leto.
Yeah. But I'll check that. I watched the Venom movies. I'm not above dipping low into entertainment. That was really. Yeah. Speaking of which, you're absolutely right, Chris. So what brings us here today is a solemn event. We're here to honor the dead who have risen in Geoff Johns's and Ivan Reis's the Blackest Night 2009 to 2010 8-issue crossover, sort of culminating Geoff Johns's extensive run on Green Lantern, which started in 2004, and his run would kind of end shortly after this before the New 52 reboot. Chris, I'm really curious how you took this, because I know, I read all of Geoff Johns's Green Lantern comics. I've read quite a few. Looking at Geoff Johns's back catalog, I was like, I have a problem. I've read a large number of these, and I just can't imagine jumping right into the Blackest Night.
Oh, I read a lot of it with a dull rage. I would also like to apologize to Mark Millar, for having accused that of cynicism. Now I've seen the depths. I did not enjoy this comic at all.
That's fair. James, how did you feel about the Blackest Night?
I just want to read this quick. If you've read a superhero comic published by DC Comics within the last few years and were completely blown away by it, there's a good chance it was something written by Geoff Johns, the Washington Examiner. Fucking
right.
Holy shit.
So true.
Yeah, I did not care for this. It was really ludicrous and stupid, and it was actually nonsensical. There was a ton of dialogue that meant nothing. There was a pretty linear plot, I guess, that revolved around sort of cliffhanging horror scenarios, because all your favorite superheroes are dead. And then it would go from mini boss to mini boss. It was Spawn. It was like Spawn. Black Hand's Spawn, and he raised Satan. And let's do that in the DC universe and just steal a shitty property, but just sort of backspin it in a kooky kind of kitschy way that involves every lame JLA backstory fucking person, so that you can feel like he's just fucking brushing the barbecue glaze over the whole shitty universe. I don't know.
Yeah. Wow. That's fair. I didn't like this book either. I gotta give a shout out to the colorist though, Alex Sinclair. You're a goddamn hero.
And the artist.
And Ivan Reis. This looks good. It's very busy though.
It looks beautiful. It's beautiful. The art was like honestly the art holds up the whole book. Like it's fucking phenomenal. It's right cover to cover.
Mm-hmm.
A thesis I want to put forward through this though is that Geoff Johns is a really shitty storyteller. And one like Exhibit A is that like with that art, I tried your test, like the just the eye test, like can I tell the story? Can I follow along just from the art? I could not. Like I don't think that he knows how to zoom in on a moment or expand a moment or make it visually appealing. One thing I really found with this constantly, and this is for like the sweatiest of DC super friends, because like you need to know every minor character, but like you just you get this sense that it like he just can't figure out what moment is important. Like I constantly had to stop and tell myself like I think that was supposed to be a heroic speech. I'm not sure who this person is. This is a big moment, but I don't know who's talking. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, it really rewards. So the DC mega events. What they've always done since like 1986 is, when they're done right in the way that DC fans really like them to be done, it is a celebration of everyone's ability to memorize and feel nostalgic over intellectual property. And Geoff Johns in this instance has done just that. It has the heft of a Crisis on Infinite Earths, in the sense of like, look at all your friends. They're here for a moment, and all of them. And this is important. Simply, you like celebrate yourself for your knowledge and your insider understanding, because this moment is for you. But it's not for anyone else. It's so insular, it resists in all instances any that's not fair, because he's trying to tell all this story through like some sort of stupid idea that there's this emotional prism, and like it's these the characters, it tries to take what is complex and insular, and then just James called it a barbecue glaze of just put some sort of like really cheap and really ham-fisted emotional core to it that anyone can pick up and understand. And so like if you want to enter into this world, he's offered like training wheels for you. These people love each other.
That's what I described it as, masturbatory.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
The best, I was gonna say that my all-time favorite moment, which I screenshotted to you guys, was when you get about like 3 or 4 issues deep, and then they go, where do I start? The beginning seems necessary, and then the fucking indigo lanterns go on their tirade. I was like, fuck off.
Yeah.
I audibly fuck off to that moment, and then I started reading this ludicrous speech. I mean, no fucking sense whatsoever.
That's the one with all the like the spectrum of colors. Is that canon? Like there are the Rage lanterns and then the Fear lanterns, and
that all comes out of Geoff Johns' run on Green Lantern, though. Like he literally started building this over the course of 7 years or 8 years.
Why are they all evil and then the Green Lantern is not envy, or like, what I mean? It's just like none of it, or jealousy. Like I just didn't. I mean, okay, it's 7 years worth of material that I'm trying to condense in an issue. I get it, but it was really frustrating.
Yeah, well, that's fair. It's not. I see what you're saying, though. Like green, the green eyes of envy and stuff like that. That would be maybe a more appropriate color or emotion to lock into the green ring or whatever. But Geoff Johns was saddled with this idea about fear and overcoming fear, and the rings being related to willpower and stuff like that. So kind of ran with what he had.
Yeah, I get that that's fundamental to like the Green Lantern core. So yeah, okay.
Yeah. But he's so proud of himself for this. I'm not sure if you guys read any of the quote unquote director's commentary at the end, but he's like, I'm so proud that I've created all these new characters that are now part of the DC universe. And I couldn't be happier. And oh man, that's so sad. That's really sad, Geoff. I'm so sorry you feel that way. Like, that you know, like I created indigo and larfleas and the barfing rage
God.
lanterns and stuff like that, and you're just like,
Yeah, it was like the only character anybody found compelling for longer than 4 seconds was Sinestro, and he was already invented.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but all he's done is just like, it's just like cynicism, yeah, but it's part of, it's a literally like one way that people talk about modern comics is, you know, there's the modern age, golden age, all that shit. They talk about it as the prismatic age, because you know, like intellectual property goes through a prism and it breaks up, you know, so you'll have girl Captain America, you'll have boy Captain America, you'll have black Captain America, you'll have Hispanic Captain America, on and on and on and on, and there's room for everyone, right?
Yeah.
And this is that, but like driven, it's truly prismatic, but it's like, it's not driven by any sense of like social justice or anything like it. Like at least when you have like a black Captain America, you're like, okay, like I kind of get it, I see why you're doing that. This doesn't, it has it's just like a stupid idea, like what if all the different colors, like one was the color of love and one was the color of hope, and like,
Yeah.
how do you make that, how do you make that decision? Like, how did he come to this idea that there'd be so few emotions in the world?
And you can see that
one was hunger.
No, it was
like avarice,
gluttony.
Gluttony, hunger, but like like covetousness too, right? Like, which is still dumb. You can see that this is the Grant, like the the Alan Moore, the Grant Morrison, like this is the gesture. You find something new in that power and expand it and make it cosmic, but he's just not doing it right.
No, it's like that said, though, I'd say for the first 24 issues, his Green Lantern run was pretty solid. Okay. You know, it was fun and it made sense, and it hadn't yet started to degenerate into like, well, what if there's another lantern? What if there's another lantern? You know, like there was just like, he introduced the yellow lanterns, the Sinestro Corps, and you're like, okay, that's cool. You know. Yeah,
I like that idea. I was like kind of interested in. Like it makes sense. It's core to the mythology of the character. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that he invented Sector 666 as well.
No.
Oh no, that's real. Okay.
You know, no, but you know what it is.
What's that?
Now, when you say that he's gesturing in the way that, say, a Grant Morrison or Alan Moore would do, one thing that I'll always feel, I don't know, kind of a special disappointment with Geoff Johns about is that he strip mines all the Alan Moore material out of the DC universe, so that this notion of the Blackest Night and this die of like Sector 666 and the planet Rayat and stuff like that, it is from an 8-page story that Alan Moore did back in the 80s. Like it's just this offhand short story done in one idea that, like there's this prophecy of the Blackest Night. And Geoff, and that's it. This is the kernel of everything, is like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take that Alan Moore shit and I'm going to fucking run with it. And he's done the same fucking shit with Watchmen, and he's done the same thing with Killing Joke. Like he just keeps going back to that well, and he's so unsuited for it. He's like the worst fit, and he's just like chewing on Alan Moore as much as he can, and he's not getting any nutrition out of it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't, and I can't break away from like the contrast between Power Rangers or Captain Planet, where I'm just throwing a color down the hallway, I'm attaching something to it, and then I'm making a fucking rainbow corpse, and there's nothing else behind it.
100%.
Other than that, like,
yeah,
I would rather, it's because at least Captain Planet makes sense. Like it's all around the essential elements. Not that those are real things. Don't get me wrong. But and then there's the quintessence or whatever. Like it's tied to sort of Aristotelian physics, and then it has this environmentalist message, and you're just like, okay, all right. That kind of coheres as a concept.
How does fucking rage and gluttony have anything to do with regular willpower and what the fuck? Like, what's Sinestro?
Fear.
What? Yeah, like that. None of that has anything to do with willpower.
Well, and is willpower an emotion? Like what is it? I'm not the first person to
I'm
raise
just
that
saying,
concern, but
really shouldn't have to think about that. I mean, if you're gonna code something, make it uniform. Like, I don't know.
yeah, no, it's poorly conceived throughout and fucking dumb.
Yeah.
Can
They
we
even make that joke at one point. Sorry, that like, oh, this sounds like something I saw on a Saturday morning cartoon. You're like,
right?
yeah,
you're like,
you can address
you
it, but in this case, you're not about it.
self-realize. Yeah, exactly. You like
It's just a sad
self-realize
admission.
that you're shilly, like that you're shitty, and also like, did anybody pick up the quips?
Well, such as they were.
Like the little fucking like, he made the zombies make like fucking moronic like one-liners.
That was fucking weird. It was
I smell a mystery.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're like sometimes they're horny too. Like the ones like make him use his willpower. It makes me hot. You're like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
What are the rules?
Hiya, winged wonder. Like, what's happening here? Why are you making these one-liners? Why are you doing zombie quips?
It was like Evil Dead, but without the charm of like the Deadites. It was like just really stupid jokes.
Yeah, like radical. I call dibs on the Flash. If you write that, fuck you, man. You're not writing a grown-ups book.
Agreed.
And that's the weirdest thing. Like, it's so it gestures toward being, and like, let's be honest, like only like the audience for this are adults. But it's not. There's nothing adult about it. But it's also not childish enough. Like to what you're saying, Chris. Like it's not the Deadites. Like, they'd be hilarious. They'd be doing a bunch of weird shit, and or even there'd be like, if it was Sam Raimi, there'd be some slapstick kind of mixed into this. It's so dour and so self-important.
Yeah, and there's like in theory it's like they're just mean versions of themselves. Like Aquaman has memories of being Aquaman and like is like wants to forcibly bring his wife by his side, but like they keep saying, but they're not the people. So like I was constantly just kind of asking myself, like, I don't want to nitpick, but I didn't understand the rules, exactly what was going on. Like, they could use powers, but it was just the rings reanimating the bodies. It was really confusing.
Mm-hmm. And to what end? Like, what? So there's obviously this emotional, connection made or something like that, and it causes you to somehow be closer to death by having emotions about something.
Or they're trolls, basically. They're like internet trolls, just like provoking a reaction, and it powers them up.
Right. And maybe it's Geoff Johns. This is how he deals with all his fan criticism.
Yes.
You guys are just like Necron, and you're like trying to harsh my buzz. I'm gonna get the White Lantern.
Necron. So no one comments on the fucking. I keep saying the spawn counter, the power counter.
Oh, the power levels, but that's not from Spawn. This is it's a common aspect. It's from Green Lantern. It's a common Green Lantern thing. Power levels, whatever percent. Or particularly in Geoff Johns' run, it's a fair conceit. I know I shouldn't defend it like this, but I am.
I like it.
You got to power up your ring, and it's a thing.
Powered up the Death Ring, and we brought Satan back, who immediately comes from the fucking bowels of hell to fucking call out Barry Allen.
Yeah.
Come again?
Yeah. It's kind of it's attempting to be. So on the one hand, it's masturbatory. It's also attempting. We've kind of recognized that it's attempting to be meta-textual. It's attempting to comment on the fact that superheroes die and come back all the time, and death doesn't really mean anything. And this is strangely, I think, Geoff Johns' attempt to try to bring meaning back to death. But I think he just cheapens it more.
I really want to talk about this, and I totally agree with you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, there's a moment like late, I think it's like issue 6 or something like that, where Like it all kind of comes to a head, and like when all the black rings go on, like I guess the stakes are that everyone who's ever died and been resurrected suddenly like they're targets, and so they can like, and it's everybody, like it's literally everybody. You realize that like every one of these characters has like died, from like Superman to the Flash to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of like, I think that moment is sort of like a meta moment where it's like, what if Necron succeeded, and like it would be a reset. It's basically about comic purges, right? Like these sorts of resets. And Green Arrow says like there will be no more fighting over the scraps of existence, no more good guys or bad guys. And it basically just made me realize that like this is a moment where it's basically talking about the like, in a sense, the corporate cheapening of death in comics. Like you have to keep the series running. So what do? You have these events like Superman's dead, but he's coming back because they're never gonna kill off a character like that who makes them like tons of money. So it's just like, I don't know. It's hard to express, but like it's not like I want to say that they shouldn't do comics, because I think as long as you can keep generating meaning from these ideas and telling interesting, fresh stories with them, keep going. It's like myth, right? That's not an original comment. That's a lot of writers realize that in the 70s and 80s. But this seems to be speaking directly to that sort of like, here's the big event, the reset, you got to buy all these variant covers.
Oh, and this thing was huge. Like, I don't go on Wikipedia and see how many tie-in issues there were. And how, like, again, in the quote unquote director's commentary, they were talking about how the editors, Geoff Johns is like, and the editors did so great, making sure that there was sort of like stylistic unity to some extent throughout all the various books. And
oh man, yeah,
like, yeah, that's
now we're going to Contagion Town.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I just and like it wants to like this gets to like back to the comment, like this, he thinks he's doing kind of like a Grant Morrison thing in that like so I'm gonna have this Titanic story that is going to involve the heroes encounter with feelings of existential dread and concern over constant struggle and the battle of good and evil and all that sort of thing, and I'm gonna dramatize that in a very explicit way, and then I'm gonna use that to have a happy ending. Like eventually I'll just have a happy ending, and by doing that I will have expelled the evil, sort of symbolically. And I think he's doing that, but like I don't know. I don't think he's doing that. I think he thinks he's doing that, but like it at the end, like I don't. It all it is like actually there's the goodness becomes a threat at the end, and so it just like it really doesn't end, and there's no good anything, because there's like the White Lantern at the end or whatever, and you just get the sense that okay, now we're gonna have a White Lantern event, and they do. Brightest Day.
Okay.
And it's another fucking thing, and you're just like, Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Maybe that'll put it all together for me.
It's it just turns into like I honestly, it broke me. I did not read those issues. Like I got through Blackest Night and I got through all of this back 10 years ago, and I was like, I'm fucking done. Like this is it. And Geoff, like I came on your ride. I went all the way to the end, and like, you want me to keep going? No. That's like a vomitorium. You want me to throw up? You want me to throw up so I can keep drinking? No thanks.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is a great analogy. And like, let's have a little sidebar on the amount of people that love this. Well, I'd like to hear some theories myself. Like, why is this critically acclaimed? Why did everybody fucking love this? Why does the New York Times like Geoff Johns so much? Why does Geoff Johns write every single DC book for a period of time? Just why did this happen? Like, what was it just a really bad time? Were people taking breaks from writing? Like, I can't pin it.
Well, I have a question for you guys, and along the similar lines. How is Geoff Johns not just like an updated modern version of Denny O'Neil? Like, he's a fanboy who loves these characters and sort of like in a boyish kind of way, with like more of an edgelord sort of thing, but like, you know, kind of making he clearly loves the Flash. Like, yeah, like underneath it all, he loves Barry Allen. He loves Hal. Like he's trying to give them these moments that are like, you know, like the St. Crispin Day speeches, like, you know, even in the darkest night, like we'll triumph, but they don't land. But beside the point, like that's like it's really hard to understand. I think maybe some of it's just his reverence. Like underneath it all, he really loves this material, and so I guess if you also love it, then it resonates with you. I also wondered if maybe it's like people could read it as a metaphor for like overcoming depression or something like that, or I don't know.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I don't think that's okay. So I think James, you asked like a bunch of different questions that have different types of answers. So I guess like, you know, why do people like this? Well, because people are stupid. And I don't have an explanation. Like, why do people like the Blackest Night? I don't know. Like, there's no good reason to, other than Ivan Reis's art. And you know, and it gets back to what I'd said about DC fan culture. Like, Geoff is speaking to a particular type of fan that values this type of story. It's like finding cave art, and you're like, oh god, this is shitty. People didn't know how to draw back then, and then you find it like some art historian like, no, you have to put it in context, and you have to think about the you know, like the what beauty looked like in that particular context. And so if you put it in the context of DC fandom, this is a roaring success. It's just like jerks off in their face, and they jerk off in his face, and everyone, and that's how they're communicating to each other, and they're fucking sword fighting, and it's awful. It's a terrible lizard pit.
Wow.
But why do others, however, like Geoff Johns, like why did I read so many Geoff Johns comics and feel kind of betrayed and like really not betrayed, but fucking let down? And I was like, okay, he sucks. He fucking sucks. He jumped the shark. He's done. Because like his earlier JSA, Justice Society of America comics, I didn't read his Flash run. I didn't like the art on it, but he has a sort of, he loves, Chris, you're right. He loves this material in a way that no grown man should love this material. And and particularly the old like Justice Society of America guys, like the classic DC stuff, like your old man's DC stuff, you know, pre-Superman, loves it. And imbues all of that with a lot of sense of family and camaraderie and shared experience. I'm bigging it up. I'm making it sound a lot better than it is, but like it has those qualities. And you know, it's pretty good superhero comics, and it has everything that you think that you would kind of want from a comic, where you like actually care about the characters and their interactions with one another. Like if you took some time to like enter into that universe. But he lost. I would say that he lost that ability because he just, I don't know, he just got too big. Like maybe he would dispute that and say like, well, you're just jealous, James. But like, I'm really not. Really not, Geoff.
And haters gonna hate.
Yeah, that makes. I mean, it being too big makes a lot of sense. Like I felt like nothing ever, the camera never stops, so to speak. And there were a couple moments where I was like, okay, like this situation is kind of interesting. There was the like after the rings go on all the, you know, the major superheroes, like Flash is outrunning the Black Ring that's chasing him. And like you have a pretty interesting setup for, you know, you could milk that into an issue, like have it, you know, reveal character, like focus in on something, like make it exciting. That is handled in a page, and then it goes on to some other dumb shit. You know, it's like anytime that there's a moment that, and I think a great example of this is what the fuck is up with Batman in this? Like, it's such a big buildup to the moment with Batman's skull. And like literally like one of the first things you see is this fucking creep, the Black Hand, just like digging up the skull and like licking it. You're like, yeah, I don't care who you are. You lick a freshly dug up skull, you're gonna have a bad day. but and
He's
like
into
he's really into it. He's
Yeah.
carrying it around. He's cradling. There's so much talk about Bruce this, Bruce that. When they finally do that reveal, it's like Batman shows up for a second, but it's not. I'm still not even sure. I don't think it was Batman. It might not be.
No, well, because it doesn't have to be. Like, oh gosh, yeah, it's not because Batman's not dead. He's trapped in time, or yeah.
Right. Yeah, because that was Grant's thing, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so you have this decoy moment that's just meant to get a reaction out of them, and it's just like it just falls. It's so anticlimactic.
It's true because they built that up for 50% of the book, and then they unloaded it, and it was for variant covers.
Yeah.
It didn't. It was
You're
just
right.
like die Justice League. I didn't give a fuck that the Justice League died either, because Superman had only been in the book for 5 seconds.
Yeah,
So
I actually forgot. I was like,
up.
oh yeah, there's Superman.
Hey, the Justice League came back a page ago and started to help. Great, woo! But the splash pages of people that came out of nowhere to help happened. I'm gonna say conservatively about 5 times in this book.
I have
never payoff.
And it's just fucking. It was just senseless. It was worthless. Like Chris was saying. And then you just like. And anytime there was like, I would say the standout moments for me in the book were horror moments. Like when they butchered fucking Hawkman and Hawk Girl or whatever.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry if Hawk Girl's name is something else. I don't know.
No, Kendra or something like that. But yeah, she's Hawk Girl.
No
she's
one
Hawk Girl.
cares because they're fucking B characters, which I think is lost on poor Geoff here. The same thing with the Green Lantern.
Oh, Geoff wrote an extensive run on Hawkman.
Of course he did. Fucking. So there's nothing better than fucking Hawk cosplay fetish, but whatever. The fucking guy like Barry Allen. Nah, I hate the Flash. No one likes the Flash or the Green Lantern. Let's get down to brass tacks. And then like Chris saying too, they fucking power it up. What would be more powerful than Barry Allen with a fucking Green Lantern ring? You shouldn't.
Good. Yeah.
You had your opportunity to mow down people in the book, but it just moves from these like sort of. It moved from a sad horror like a okay horror moment to the next mini boss that made the next group of splash page guys come at me and then die. I don't know. I wish you could tell me it was something other than that, but
no. Well, what it tries to do in between is like launch other like revive, resurrect, other intellectual properties like Mara, like Aquaman's girlfriend is going to be the main character in this story, like not anyone else. And fucking I don't mind when like Ray Palmer the Atom is an important character because like he's at least like a legit capital G guy. We're gonna bring
he
back,
fought his heart out.
Yeah, like Firestorm is going to be like so important to the story.
Firestorm.
He's going to. Yeah.
Okay, first of all, I have no idea who Firestorm is, but I got a little less.
He's the nuclear man.
Okay, so then there was like the new Firestorm and his girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
Which is like the greasiest, like fridging. That was
right.
That was outstanding.
Yeah.
Like the only bit of character context you got for his girlfriend is that she's like 18 and like wants to start a family with him, as all 18-year-old girls do with their boyfriend.
For sure.
Start a family, have kids, and then immediately like the next time you see her, she's like at the mercy of the old like zombie Firestorm and like being turned into salt.
It hurts. It hurts.
Yeah.
He's like fucking like sticking his fingers in her mouth and strangling her off for like fucking 6 pages.
It makes the boyfriend choose like what for. It was like it's the Ghostbusters. He had literally called it out. Remember Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
Ray couldn't resist thinking of something eventually. Oh, salt. Mm-hmm. And then it never goes back to that. Like there's a few moments of mental anguish for that guy, but nothing. Like disappears from the book. There was no point to that.
Yeah, it was just a grotesque horror moment that you had to have one per issue.
Yeah. And admittedly, like in isolation, so like Geoff has a real he's not like he's both suited to superhero comics and then massively unsuited in the same way that Scott Snyder is massively unsuited to superhero comics. Like he's good with Batman, but like the horror sensibility that these guys bring to the books is just really inappropriate and kind of overcompensating for the childishness of this material. Like this is not childish. This is not childish. It's like, look, man, they're dying and like they're vomiting up black rings. What's more adult than that? You're like,
and any moment of like,
yeah.
Any moment that calls for actual. No, I'm not saying this about Snyder. Snyder's pretty legit. But any moment that calls for actual emotion or a characterization just kind of like falls flat.
Yeah.
Because he's not capable of it.
That's not even because he's not capable of it. It's because you're not capable of giving me that using Hal Jordan and Barry Allen. Because no one gives a fuck. Unless you're going to hit me with a giant green fist or zoop around real fast. I don't fucking... Who are you? I don't know you. I don't have a character, man. You're a B fucking player.
See, but and fine. No, I think you can like, and again, I'm really,
right, okay.
I know generally I'm no, like I kind of got to like I'm kind of prejudiced by my experience reading Mark Waid Flash comics and the Grant Morrison stuff, obviously. But yeah, generally I agree. Jeff's love of this material is it is fully blind. And he's totally into these guys, and thinks that their conversations are so meaningful and like it's the X-Men getting together. Like he thinks he's writing an X-Men comic to some extent when he has them talking.
And he is. He's basically writing an X-Men comic, and he's decided that fucking Gambit and Blink can run the book.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on record saying I do kind of like the Flash, but I don't mind this talk at all.
I have a Flash costume for Halloween, but I'm just saying it's not very.
It's a cool costume.
Man. I guess I could go back and read enough fucking Barry Allen to where I gave a fuck about Barry Allen. I mean, and I guess those are the people that I'm overlooking here.
Yeah, I'm a Wally West Flash guy myself. Like the Flash comics that were good were Wally West Flash. Like if we're talking about, if your complaint is not that it's the Flash but that it's Barry Allen, I have to agree with you. Like I don't know that character. That guy existed. He died before we were born, or not before we were born, but we were 6 when he died, and he disappeared from DC Comics as a character. And so we don't I don't have an investment. So who's this story for? Like I'm a 40-year-old man at this point. Like if this comic wasn't for me, was it for 60-year-old men? Like our 60-year-old men nowadays just like shaking their head at us right now? You don't understand, kid.
My dad really likes the Flash. Now that you mention it, I should ask him.
Yeah, ask him about Barry Allen.
I'm gonna ask him. Remember that TV show?
Oh fuck,
the Flash.
I remember that.
He really liked that one.
Yeah, that was good. That
like
bodysuit. He was so fucking muscular. We got to go back to that. I bet that's a good. What were you going to say, Chris?
It holds up. Oh, I was going to say, the sad... I'm sure it does.
Like watching the trial of the Incredible Hulk holds up. Yeah,
shit.
Definitely. Like watching Lois and Clark. I was going to say the saddest, like on the terms of the B-list scale, that Flash, the Green Lantern parade that they have at the start of the book was just like, stomach turning. Like that was like the lamest thing.
At Ghost City or whatever. Yeah,
it was like sort of like a police parade thing, but for the Green Lanterns. And like Kyle shows up. Kyle has like 2 lines in the book. They brought him back.
My fan complaint about this is we've already touched on it, but I want to hammer down on it a bit more. Like this is the only. Well, I'm not going to say the only way this story works, but like it makes no fucking sense that this. Like, where's Superman in all of this? Where's Wonder Woman? Like, why aren't they doing anything? Like, why are they so ancillary to like this world-shattering event? Like, Superman should be on top of this shit. Like, he's Superman, and you can't have an event where Superman's on the table, and we're supposed to focus on Green Lantern and Barry Allen.
Well, that's just it, and that's like a huge. I don't know. That's just a huge problem for me, and it's fine. Like, and he just wants to give them a shake.
Yeah,
but to me, that's like being like, my next fucking Avengers book is gonna be fucking Vision and Hawkeye at the helm, and Captain America and Iron Man are just gonna fuck up and donkey around in the background in 2 pages. What?
Yeah.
No, they if they were there, they would lead because that's what they're fucking supposed to do.
Yeah.
Also, they're fridging right in here. Boom.
Oh yeah, they do comment on it. Yeah.
They got a full panel.
It's like all the women died in our life. It's just like,
yeah.
maybe it's you
fucking,
guys. Maybe it's you.
It's a fridging montage.
Mhm.
That first issue, like, have you ever seen grief made so tedious, where they're just like, it's like, oh, that guy died. Yeah, he had to deal with death, and like that's like it's a lot of conversations, a lot of words.
Yeah.
So tedious.
Yeah, it must be like going to a Legionnaires' hall.
Oh god.
It's just, you know who died yesterday? Ugh.
But James, you said Wonder Woman didn't get full freight there, but she's pretty. We haven't talked about the deputizing yet. She was really critical at the end. She got the purple ring, and I like that her tribute was like, "Who loves more in the universe than Wonder Woman?"
Yeah.
Like of all of her qualities, do you?
Yeah,
is that
yeah.
what you? Yeah.
Yeah, well, fine, I guess if you're looking for someone and you're looking for a big lister who like has lovey feeling, like fine, Wonder Woman, she comes from Themyscira, like I get it. Like if I just like squint, I'm like, okay, fine, you chose it. Like, but this is so meaningful to Geoff Johns himself. Like when it really, I hate to be one of those guys that says that like we did this to James Hudnall, but I'm going to do it to Geoff Johns too. Like it's like just watching his mind, like all of his concerns and his nerd categorizations and classifications and like and how they connect to him like on an existential level, just like vomited all over the page. It's just like his mind is just opening up to us, and I'm just like, what? You're not well, Geoff Johns. Like, did you look, like, again, sorry, in like quote unquote director's commentary at the end, there's also like discarded scenes and bits of script that weren't used. It's so fucking tedious.
Oh no.
So fucking tedious. It's just like you like because you have to think about it. Like whenever it's like Hal Jordan of Green Lantern, you are selected. Billy Bob of Thanagar, you are selected. Like he wrote all that in a fucking script, and the names, like the specificity of it, and just understanding like him typing away in the dark, just like writing all that, and you're just like, you're fucked, dude. You're fucked. This is
black ring flesh. Black ring flesh. Flesh.
He wrote flesh. Like every just like look at all the dialogue. Like he wrote that in a fucking script. This is like pure out of his brain, and you're like, okay, well, stop it, man. And like he's chief creative officer of DC. Like no wonder they. Like I no, if DC movies suck, and I'm willing to accept, except for Batman versus Superman, that they do, even though Geoff had a hand in that, he's got to be to blame. Because he's in charge of all that shit, and
perversely, I found myself like really wanting to see what Zack Snyder would do with this story.
Oh, fucking right I would. Yeah, man.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
That'd be great. The special effects would be off the fucking charts. I'd love to see like these zombie super. But the problem is there's not enough DC. No, that's not a problem. Let me take that back. They just wouldn't be able to recreate this full thing because they don't have the full. Like you could do this story, and I'm sure they will, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because they've got enough breadth, right? And so eventually they're going to do Marvel Zombies. I think they're going to do that in that new Doctor Strange movie, so we'll essentially.
You think so?
I don't know. Fuck, honestly, I think it's multi-dimensional. They're going to go to a bunch of different dimensions. I think I read somewhere about some fucking zombies. If I'm wrong, it's just because I don't care enough to be right.
That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what to. I just feel that we could go page by page on this fucking comic and just like either fan complaints or just like confusion.
I'll say something nice. The moment like very briefly, Lex Luthor was an MVP in this, and I thought he was pretty
that's
fun.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Lex Luthor lantern was cool.
Yeah, and it's fuck you energy. Like when like the villains are like, yeah, we got to do something with this. He's like, oh, you got to stop thinking of us as a team.
Yeah, actually, yeah, Lex did get like the he gets more of a thing than Superman does. Like he's more of a character. Like we always like flash over to Lex Luthor in his lab or whatever. You know, like kind of like you know how many people I've killed. Fuck, they're all coming after me. I better fucking get ready.
He's having his last stand. It was cool.
Yeah. I did. This gets back to if we're gonna be nice to this book, I did like one of the scenes early on when Ray Palmer's calling Hawkman and he doesn't realize it's zombie Hawkman. And he's like, Hawkman, I love you, and we're gonna go and we're gonna have a conversation. I'm gonna come and visit you, okay? And then like it's just one panel of like this skull mouth. Yeah, come on over, Ray. And then Ray's like happy. and I don't remember if you see what happens, but I was like, that's creepy and hilarious. Because like that could be, as far as I'm concerned, that could be the end of a comic, and I'd be so happy, and I would not need to know what happens after that. Much more enjoyable for me to like just to think about what would happen.
That's actually funny too. That was actually a good like a great moment. And I also like that Hawkman hung up fucking on him and didn't want to talk to him. So
yeah, didn't they just like smash his phone?
Made his fucking sort of like his emotional plea to come over and talk to him even goofier.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like it's happened twice, kind of. It's just like, I'm calling you again, even though you smashed your phone. Like, how are you calling? I don't know.
It was a big house. I mean,
yeah. I guess he had some other. That's a good point. Yeah.
That's what I went with. I was like,
probably more than one phone. Yeah.
Better see who it is.
Yeah. Zombie went to the kitchen phone, I guess.
You know, my favorite character is Atrocicus, Atrocitus, or whatever his fucking name is. That Red Lantern.
Yeah,
the one she's constant. I just love that the Red Lanterns are constantly vomiting blood. It's like that's so inappropriate. That's so wild. And like there's a Red Lantern Corps comic written by Peter Milligan that I've always been very curious about.
That's well reviewed, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Well, why not, man? Like
I'd read that anytime.
Yeah. Fucking in a heartbeat. I just always kind of save it like a chocolate. You know, the final chocolate in the box. You know, one day I'll
just keeping it on the back burner, the old Atrocitus or whatever.
Yeah. It's like there's so many comics I could read them. Is this the one? Is today the day when I finally dip into that shit?
I liked the Black Hand. I found him just kind of like a shallow pervert wandering around with Bruce Wayne's skull. Just like going out of his way to resurrect the fucking Satan. He really didn't have a lot of pull or power over anything in this story. He's just sort of like, I mean, I guess he was like degrading as the fucking, you know, the Satan set his plot or whatever, but I just kind of like that he was just kind of buzzing around.
Yeah.
He was like a mopey teenager, just like, you know what, guys? Death is the thing that makes us all equal. And it's going to be a lot better. Just like this, like totally adolescent philosophizing, constantly coming out of his mouth. Licking skulls, carrying skulls around. Like,
yeah, it's fucking stupid. But he's fine as far as the villain goes, and like having him around. Like, if you take a moment to, I think this book, if we're gonna, I'll kind of like summarize, say nice, like this book gets in the way of itself. I think Geoff kind of had an interesting idea that could have been a little metatextual, like in the way that he wants to talk about resurrection and death in comic books and within serialized corporate media. I think this would have been a very good vehicle for it. And from time to time, you get the impression that it almost was. But generally, its desire for excessive fan service and its overcrowded pages and insular, self-referential, self-important indexing it takes away, it distracts from all of it. For the most part, for your average reader, for like, someone who wants to like read a good story, it gets in the way of all of that. And kind of a shame, but I mean, I think that's Geoff Johns all over. That's kind of his one of his many his biggest flaw, we'll say.
I feel like that's the best rundown of it.
Yeah. The nicest thing you could say about a book that is fucking abysmal, and then I do not suggest that anybody read this fucking book, unless you want to be confused and or butthurt as a proper fan, in the way that we were like, well, where's Superman? Why is this happening? Why are you feeding me these B-listers?
I have to ask, is this the worst thing that we've tackled?
I think it's the most insulting thing that we've tackled.
Okay.
I don't think it's the worst. I feel we've read worse.
I think it's packaged well.
It's packaged well. You're right.
And I think the art team, color, ink, and
oh yeah,
and illustrations just like fucking 5-star to the. I don't know.
It's got production value for sure.
Yeah, it's like I don't know if it's like it's just I can't think of anything as a good example. I guess it's just like looking. It reminds me of Image Comics. It's just like looking at
there you go
in their infancy. Like I'm just looking at I'm looking at something beautiful, and somebody is just fucking slapping me with a ham while they're writing.
It's not as bad as that, but it is.
No, that is.
But it's analogous. It's definitely like. I think there's better structure than you'll get in like early Image Comics. Like I think it has the same sort of adolescent.
His writing's not that bad. Like this was, I don't know. At the very least, it was funny to read.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think you're right though. I think there is a comparison to be made there with early Image, and you're like it goes back to what you'd said about like the comparison to Spawn, like Geoff Johns, who you wouldn't think that he'd be like this. Like he was an assistant to Richard Donner. Like he kind of started out in film, with I was involved with Lethal Weapon 4. And that kind of thing. Like you'd think he'd have like less of a dark sensibility to him, but I think that the 90s, the grim and gritty 80s and 90s, like just completely and utterly infected him and so basically you're right. Yeah, he took like Spawn and he was like, what's going to make Green Lantern good? Spawn. And we'll just like plaster it all over. Like, okay. Interesting choice.
And it's just it. It's just like it's Satan. Now you basically gave me the story of what if the fucking hell spawns on Earth, building up his power level, and he actually flat out just assists Satan in collecting souls and resurrecting himself. Mm-hmm. That's what you told. That's the story you told me. That's the.
Except with the addition that God is buried in the earth somehow. And
that just seemed like a desperation thing.
Absolutely. And that weird gesture of like, we had to keep the secret all this time. Life began on Earth, and like God is buried here. That was like so fucking weird. I was like, why is this happening? You have this whole universe that it's like part of the DC thing is just like to have this like giant, stakes, like huge universe, and it just felt so small to pull it back to that.
Which is ironic.
Light. Yeah.
That was like the secret of one blue guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
The irony is like I think because I'll agree, like it does somehow make it small, but I think he's answering like sort of a fan question, like why is Earth so important? Why is Superman on Earth? And why is Earth? Like you don't need to answer that question, dude. The stories take place on planet Earth because we live on planet Earth. That's it. Like that's You don't need to get any deeper than that,
it's like I want to close my eyes and get a semi thinking I could flip a car like Superman. That's it. Doesn't go deeper than that.
Yeah.
Oh. Or at least that's its base, like a base urge.
That's the foundation.
Yeah.
And those questions have been answered too. Like just like there are ley lines on Earth. They're like, there's a nexus here. Like, you didn't have to go directly to something so specific and I don't know, like just mythologized in such a direct way.
Because then you're saddled with it afterwards too, and then you're like, all of a sudden you're on fucking Middle Earth, and you're like, no.
And now we know this secret, and who cares? It's never gonna have stakes, or it's never gonna mean anything.
Yeah, and I think like you know what I'm did right now? Like while we were talking about this, I looked over at my little shelf and I see Blade of the Immortal and Fist of the North Star, because they didn't fit on my graphic novel shelf. And I think to myself, why are those two books so much fucking better than this in every single way? Like you don't have to fucking do this kind of a clown show to get a good book out, man. If you're any kind of competent writer, there's a way to scale this back and make something magical. And that just fucking didn't happen, like, ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just too busy. So I don't know. Let's we've been talking about this for a while. Let's go to the score charts, ladies and gentlemen. How many licked skulls do we? How many girlfriends turned into salt? I gotta go. I want to be fair. I don't even really want to be fair to the art. Like I gotta go. Like, this is a 3 or a 4. 4 if you if the art decide.
Okay,
right, like
we get 4 with art.
Yeah, but otherwise like 3, because this is an embarrassing masturbatory farce that has no adult can learn anything from this story. This is for emotional cripples, and this is for individuals who who do not they need is this supposed to be like a blueprint for how to be a good person? If so, I kind of darkly would like to see what sort of human emerges at the end of reading The Blackest Night. Like, if this was this idea, no thank you. Like, I'm pretty sure that's how we got corporate America to begin with. So no thanks. I kind of want to give it a 2. Having said that, fuck this book.
2 is the number that came to my mind, actually, and I was putting art aside, because I agree, it does add, it's a nice book to look at, but and I can't say it better than that. That was magnificent. So I'll just shut up now.
Oh man, I guess I'm gonna give it a 4 scarecrow lanterns out of 10.
I love this pitchfork. Love this pitchfork, of course.
What the fuck?
I can't feel anything.
Why was a scarecrow in there? Oh, okay, I get it. That's your fear subtext or whatever. Fuck off. Anyway, I think the art and the whole package and I guess I may have given an extra couple of points. And I was maybe the most negative about this too, but the I just think the package is really good. I think the art's really good, and I think there's some, at least a lot of passion for Hal Jordan and stuff. So I'm man, this is technically his book, so All
right, it's getting a 4 on a technicality. Good enough. I could live with
advantage.
That. Yeah. There we go.
Now, all we need is a little energon and a lot of luck.